With that, we want to bring in our good friend Dave Lorenz, the Vice President, of course, of Travel Michigan and the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Great to have you with us. How are you?
Oh, good to be with you guys again. And as you're reminiscing about vacations from the past, I get to tell you that next week I'll be in the southeast of Michigan. And I can't wait to be back in the Detroit area because I haven't been there enough during this last year. So thrilled to be able to head back. And I recommend you do the same, just as your previous guest was talking. We need to support our cities more than ever. Everybody's going up north, and that's fantastic. But, man, it's crazy busy. Try to get a hotel room at a reasonable rate right now. And trying to get a tea time is really tough, too. So now is the time to consider being a tourist in your own town. Be a tourist in your own area. Support your businesses, whether it be American Coney Dogs or National Coney Dogs or any of the other restaurants in your region. Give them your support, give them your love. Buy those things that you can send, like those Coney Island dog kits. I have sent those to friends in Florida.
People love them, don't they?
They're great. They're great. And I've done the same thing with pizza kits over here on, the west side of the state. And my favorite place that I like to go to, Fricano's.
Yes.
The original pizzeria of Michigan, they claim.
Really?
So anyway, there's so many things you can do here. You need to just do it, enjoy it, and try to support our businesses because it's going to be rough this next, not just couple of months, this next couple of years is going to be very difficult for restaurants, retailers, everybody in the tourism industry. And that means everybody you care about because you love to do things here. So if you're a golfer, a skier, if you are a culture fan, if you love nature, anything you love to do here in Michigan, believe me, as much as it's been difficult this last year and a half, as people start to go to other places and we start to free up again, and that will come eventually, this next couple of years is going to be really challenging. So let's do all we can to support our own businesses.
So please tell me that you have a little trip planned on the Tiki Bar when you come to Detroit. What was it? Aloha.
Yes.
We've had him a couple times on the show.
Tours.
I could see you on a Tiki Bar cruising the Detroit River.
Sounds like Dave.
You've just given me a great idea because, it's funny. I'm not even on vacation next week. I'll be with the Under the Radar PBS TV crew.
Oh, take them along with you.
Segments. Yeah, we're recording some segments for a series of shows that will run this fall on PBS. So that's a great idea. And I have seen my friends do that. I've also seen my friends do the, I don't know what they call it. It's that like mega bike that everybody gets on to crawl from craft beer place to craft beer place.
Oh, yeah, we've had them on too.
Those are cool too.
The pedal bike.
So I need to check them both out.
I
Good
think,
idea.
You know what? And it's work. It's research.
That's exactly true. And, so we're in our 15th anniversary, as you mentioned, going into the break. And it's so interesting because I've been all over the state. Every time I think I've done everything, I open my eyes again and I realize I've done so little compared to what there is out there. So believe me, if you think you know a place, but you haven't been there for a while, you need to check it out because if even I'm surprised every time I come to Detroit or every time I come to Birmingham or Ann Arbor or Frankenmuth or you name it, you're going to be just as surprised and just as impressed as I am.
So, Dave, if I can ask you because, again, that Pure Michigan campaign is going on its 15th year. It has survived more politicians than you could imagine. I mean, it's been so successful for the state of Michigan. Why is it?
Well, it's because it's been successful. Politically, it's never easy getting funding for any program because, we all want to make sure we're getting the bang for our buck as taxpayers. Believe me, I don't consider myself a government guy. I'm technically not even a state employee. So I think I have I guess I have a better appreciation than maybe some might for the taxpayer and wanting to be able to provide a real good return on the investment. So we've done our best to be as efficient and effective as possible. We've tried to inspire people, to encourage people. to get people to travel here and to spend money to keep our jobs flowing in Michigan. And it's worked well. We know through independent research that for every dollar we invest in the campaign, we bring I've lost track, $8 or so. But even that, even return on investment data gets attacked by people who simply don't want to believe that public investment toward programs that help the public makes sense. Now think about it. It wouldn't be efficient for us to pay for our own mile of road in front of our house. Everybody paying for their own. This is the same thing. We're all investing on something that benefits us greatly, and not just to encourage travel. The Pure Michigan program has always been intended to do several things. One is to encourage people to travel here, to spend money, to help jobs grow and prosper. But there's a big thing about Pure Michigan that's about engendering pride, reminding us that this state's best times are yet ahead of us. And when we work together and we think of ourselves as pure Michiganians, that we will move forward and get through these big challenges that we all deal with. So that's a big part of it as well. But if you remember 15 years ago, I remember those days. They weren't bright and sunny days in Michigan. We had lost faith in ourselves. So Pure Michigan is just as much about reminding us that, everything that we do here has great value. And as we influence people to come here, we want to show them our educational institutions. We want to show them places which they should invest in, like Detroit, that they should move their offices and their shops and their manufacturers here. So that's what Pure Michigan does. It tells the world that Michigan is not what they think it is, and it reminds us the same thing.
So with that, what is the budget for that campaign?
This year, we have a $15 million budget. We were up to about $36 million. And then you remember we were defunded for a year. We got in the middle of a argument between the administration and the legislature that didn't involve us at all. It had to do with roads. And before you know it, our budget was vetoed. So now we're at 15 million. For us to move forward, we're going to have to get back up there because we need to get that national campaign going again. This year, everything's fine. People are traveling. We knew that was going to happen, but we're staying close to home. We also know after 2 years of everybody staying close to home in this big state, in the future, it's going to be hard to keep Michiganders here because they're going to want to explore. Can't blame them. We want them to see the world. It's good for us. A better understanding of the world means better appreciation for where we live. But it's going to be hard to fill those gaps unless we're marketing to the country, to the world as we need to. So crossing my fingers, we're going to get financial support. I know the governor and the legislature by far supports us, and now we need to be able to do our work. So I'm crossing the fingers we get good budget this coming year.
So with that, Dave, we should know, I see the commercials all the time for Ohio. So these ads, they don't just air in the state of Michigan. Are they placed in neighboring states as well?
This year, because of a lack of funding to be able to do a national campaign, we really are in state and in the region. And we also knew that people wouldn't want to travel very far during a pandemic. So that was the best investment. And even if we had been funded more than we are this year, we wouldn't have expended that amount of money. We feel it was an appropriate budget for this year. But next year, as we start to come out of this thing, and it will still take a while, we have a ways to go before we're out of this pandemic, folks. We need to get our vaccines, or talk to our doctors if you haven't had those vaccines. Ask them about it, because honestly, that's the only way we're going to get out of this thing. If we all come together, do our part. And maybe you're not supposed to get a vaccine. Your doctor will tell you that. But if you're supposed to, please do. I talk to my doctor because I have challenges with a lot of lung issues and things. And my doctor told me, yes, you should get a shot. And I did that day. That was my first one. So believe me, I'm talking from somebody who knows challenges of some conditions. It's the only way we're going to get there. Because these next few years is going to be tough as the economy starts to come back. We get more competition from other places. So we need to do all we can to get the word out that Pure Michigan's alive and well. You're welcome here. And that's another big point about Pure Michigan. You know, all these social challenges we've been dealing with that have come to light. We've always been dealing with racism and other challenges, but they've come to light this last year. And there's one thing that Michigan has learned through the challenge of the late 60s and beyond, is that we are better when we look at each other instead of from the outside than from the inside. We are a strong state that is more together, I guess, than most places. We do believe in welcoming all to this state. That's what Pure Michigan says, that all are welcome here, no matter what your color, your age, your sex, your religion. We don't care. We just want to know that we want you to know that you're welcome here. So that's what we're trying to do with the Pure Michigan campaign as well.
So how much of an impact does it have on the state of Michigan's tourism when it comes to the border with Canada?
It's huge. In fact, if you look at the Canadian border being shut, same thing for Mexico, same thing for the UK and the EU, we're losing in the country about $1.5 billion in trade a week.
Wow.
A week. That means 10,000 jobs we're losing a week because of the lack of that business in our country. And we have a bigger share of that because Canada's huge to us.
Yeah.
So I've been talking to every policymaker I can, trying to say, listen, I mean, I don't like the idea of vaccine passports, but you know, if that's what's necessary to get people to come here internationally, fine, do it. Let's get people traveling again. Canadians very likely are going to expect that of us. I haven't heard the exact details, but the Canadians are ready to welcome us, and they were really slow in their vaccine response. So if they can welcome us, we can do the same. So I'm hoping that happens, especially for border communities like Detroit, Port Huron, Sault Ste. Marie, and then other places, Buffalo, New York, you know, you name it, Seattle. We need this business, and we also need to be more welcoming and receptive toward one another. I mentioned earlier that I want people to travel here, of course. I want to get our fair share of that business, maybe a little bit more of it. But it's good to travel around the world. The more you travel, the more you see that we're all the same. We might look different, sound different, whatever, but we're all the same. We want a better life for our kids and our grandkids. And I don't think that really takes hold in your brain until you're fully immersed in other cultures and other places. So we need to go to Canada. Canada needs to come here. I hope more people coming from Canada, but still, you know, we need to get that travel going.
Well, and because we are so close to Canada. And what's so crazy is they can fly, but you can't drive 20 minutes. And I was so looking forward to when Canada announced the opening of, you know, their side of the border. I just assumed the U.S. would follow suit. And I'm like, hoo-hoo, wine tour. I was already talking to my girlfriends about a wine trip. Yeah,
that was the plan. It was the plan. And I think we were going to go August 21st. So I'm still crossing my fingers. I just got out of a big meeting for U.S. Travel Association, and we're doing our best to advocate for sensible policies with the understanding and belief that we need to do it safely. So I am hoping that this announcement that the CDC just made, you know, about masking up in some places, I hope that's a wake-up call to people. And I tell you, because Detroit, you know, has always proudly said, you know, we're the blackest city in America. African Americans generally have not been as accepting of the vaccine because of the history, and you understand that, of all the crazy, weird things that happened in the past. But I'm really hoping for my African American friends, and I tell them who have not been vaccinated, and everybody else as well, that you think about this and you talk to your doctor and you do this, because I see this as our only way out, only way to beat this thing. I'm pleading with my friends because I care about them. I'm hoping they do this.
So again, we're talking with Dave Lorenz. He's the Vice President of Travel Michigan with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. And we know that tourism is a billion-dollar industry here in the state of Michigan. The Pure Michigan campaign has been widely successful. It's not that often you see a campaign continue strong for 15 years. But do you think in part of that it has to do with some of the parodies that have spun off from this campaign, because they are hilarious?
Yeah, and in 2019, we were just moving along. $26.3 billion in financial impact for travel and tourism in the state. In reality, it's really much more. But the way we count it, it's direct impact. The number of dollars the travelers spend when they travel 50 miles or more. So if you really think about that and you look at indirect and induced spending, the value of travel and tourism is much greater. But we like to stay consistent with the way we measure things. It's just easier to see how we're doing. And then you look at Pure Michigan as a brand. It's worked because it tells the authentic, real story of a place that's not perfect, but offers really cool experiences at great values. It's really what it's all about. And then the parodies, they are fun. I wish he didn't swear as much, because then I could promote it more. When I go to talk to college students, they all know about the parodies, and they say, well, why don't you push those out? I said, well, number one, we don't make them. Number two, there is a lot of swearing in those things, so we can't really use them. But I do think they're funny as well. John Kerfoot, who's the guy who does that, does a great job.
It's, not so Pure Michigan. And the latest one that I saw had to do with, like, the big red poles when you go into Southfield.
Yes.
The golden circle in Sterling Heights. It's just hilarious. It is. I mean, come on. We have to laugh at ourselves every once in a while.
I suppose. But, sculpture and art is in the eye of the beholder. And I actually love this.
Hey, can I ask you real quick, though, because I was on the website a little bit earlier, and it talked about transparency. What is the PA 59 report?
Oh, PA 59. There are about 5 different laws which manage the way a local destination marketing organization funds itself. In other words, the way it gets funded. So when you stay at a hotel, really anywhere in America or most of the world, you pay, the rate, you pay your sales use tax, and then you're likely going to pay like a local promotion fund fee. So under PA 59, Public Act 59, most places you stay in Michigan, you'll pay 5%, 5%, and those dollars go to your local destination marketing organization, our partners at the local field. So that's how the Detroit Area Convention Visitors Bureau gets funded, for instance, and then they promote the area. So the logic is mostly visitors, funding, getting more visitors coming, and then it helps the local community.
Got you. Because I always like transparency, and a lot of it is take the time, pull up the report for yourself, read it, see where your dollars are going. Dave Lorenz with us here on the MegaCast, Vice President, Travel Michigan, Michigan Economic Development Corporation. You're listening to 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And Dave, I have one favor to ask of you. Can you please give me a heads up when I'm going to get a great view of the Northern Lights, so that I can plan a trip, because I don't live up there. Come on.
It's so funny. It's so funny. So all the times I've been in Northern Michigan and the UP, quite often I'll go late at night and I'll go to one of our dark sky areas and I'll really enjoy the stars, because you need to go to a dark sky park, like the Headlands Dark Sky Park, just a couple of feet west of Mackinac City. Check that out on a clear night. It's just awesome to be able to see the Milky Way and to see those stars. And then every so often, you might see the Aurora Borealis. Now, the funny thing is, many times I've been in the UP and everything, I've never seen the Northern Lights up there. The only time I've seen the Northern Lights is where I live here in the Muskegon Grand Haven area. I'll drive around, and I remember one time my son looks up, he goes, "Oh, there's a Northern Light." And I go, oh. What? And he was like, back to his phone.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so you just never know. But we're pretty lucky. We're coming into the time of the year where you're more likely to see them. So Places to do that are over large expanses of water. That's why, because you don't have any tree interference or whatever. So find a clear night, go to a place like McLean State Park over in the far western part of the Upper Peninsula, or any of our dark sky areas. You can even find dark sky areas in southern Michigan. And you never know, you might see them. Even down here, you might even see them, but more likely north of the 45th parallel.
I know, it's a little bit of a hike, though, for that last-minute road trip. I mean,
True.
But I would do that. I'd get in my car and I'd drive all night if I knew I was going to see them.
And but I've also had so many friends who haven't even opened their eyes. And it's just like the rest of discovery of the world. If you're not looking for it, sometimes you find the best, coolest things. But occasionally you do have to seek out these really unique things as well. So those parks are really the ways to do it.
It's such a teaser because I belong to the Facebook group and they're always posting pictures. I'm like, oh, it's on my bucket list. I'm going to see them one day.
Yeah, you will.
Dave, thank you so much for always being with us. We so appreciate your voice, your insight, and your expertise as well. Come visit us next week when you're down here in the Motown.
I'd love to do that, and I know you're going to be doing some new things. So thanks for everything, and wish you the very best.
Thank you so much. We'll be in contact soon again, I'm sure.
Sounds great. Thank you. Hey, everybody, get out there and travel. Remember, your trip begins at michigan.org.
Absolutely. See, you can voice the commercials. We don't need Tim Allen.
I'm gonna see him on Sunday, so I'll tell him you said that.